like right here that hasn't been stitched, so I'm going to stitch there. And I'm just looking for anything like that so I can stitch it down, make sure that all my edges have been caught. This map here. Okay, and then my little thing here. Okay, and if I want to, it may be too late now because I wasn't thinking about it, but if I want to stick a little bit of cheesecloth in, let's see if I can find a place to do that. I get just a really little piece. Okay, here's some fabric that's still sticking up, so I might stick that right there under that. Can you see that? Okay, and then I'll sew it down. I'll sew the fabric down, and it'll hold the not the fabric, the paper down, and it'll hold the cheesecloth in place. And the same thing if I want to sew a little piece of yarn in. Let me do it just to show you some of this yarn that's all tattered and falling apart. It's really cool yarn of Bill's. Okay, here's a place where the map isn't sewn down completely, so I'm going to tuck some in right there. I'm going to have it come out in a different place if I can. I've sewn most of this down without thinking about it, so it's kind of late to be doing this, but I just want to show you what you can do. Normally, if I wasn't distracted, I would be sewing that in there as I sewed stuff on. Okay, there's another place that I can put a little bit of cheesecloth, so I'm going to put that. And again, when you cut your cheesecloth, you guys, you're not trying to cut it all perfect or anything. You're just cutting out a little piece. And see how I've got some maps sticking up here? I especially like to put cheesecloth under maps because, you know, maps used to be made with cloth or leather, and so they did get kind of raggedy and thready and stuff, and so it really does make it look old and cool. Okay, and then I see a good place for some yarn. This is really thin yarn. This is what Bill knits with. To make it thicker, he puts several strands together that are called ends. They're not called strands, they're called ends. Okay. So let's sew these. So I stuck it underneath a piece of paper that hadn't been completely sewn down yet, and now I'm sewing the edge of that paper. And it doesn't matter if I catch some of the yarn in it. I mean, I definitely do want the yarn to be caught in it underneath the paper that I've got it sticking out of, so it'll hold it in place. But if I get some of the yarn caught even on top of it, that's fine too. Okay, here's another place that still needs to be sewn, so maybe I'll put just a little bit of cheesecloth right there. Guys, this is like really fun to do, so I hope that you'll do this. Now, when we do the belly band, if you just really don't want to do this with your scraps, that's okay. You can just use a whole piece of paper. That's okay. Totally fine. Use whatever you want. You can use a piece of fabric too. I've done belly bands with fabrics. Lots of them. Okay, and here's another piece that needs to be sewn down. Okay, so I'm not going to add any more yarn or cheesecloth. We've got enough. I don't like to overdo it. I'm just looking for any places that haven't been sewn down so I can make sure I get those sewn down. Okay, anything else? There's one little edge there. See, doesn't this look cool, you guys? And it's super sturdy if you sew it all down properly, or glue it. If you glue it, I think it actually makes it even sturdier. But I like the look of the zigzag. Okay, so here's what it looks like. Can you see that all? With my kind of not so great light. I'm sorry, I've got to work on the lighting. But this is the back, but the back's not going to show. Okay, but that's what the back would look like if it did show. Okay, and can you see, I don't know if this is making it blurry or not, but I hope not. I hope you can see it. See all the little details and the cheesecloth, the little bits of yarn, the thread, sticking up all over the place, the pieces of map and stuff. It's very cool, right? Okay, so we're going to put all these scraps back in our scrap bucket, and off camera I'll make a whole big huge page of this. I mean, I could make a roll of it, and and use all your scraps as much as possible to make some. And if you don't use it all in this journal, it's okay, because you can use it in other journals. Because if you like a color scheme, you're probably going to use it again. I'm going to do more earth tone journals, so I know that if I made a whole bunch of paper like this, it's not going to get wasted. Okay, so we're going to look for a place to put a belly band. Okay, this is actually a little bit bigger than the page. I usually try to make it about the same size as the page, but I wasn't really thinking about that. And it's okay that it sticks over too, because that actually gives kind of a cool look too. I want a place where I can sew both at the top and the bottom without messing anything up. This would be okay if I sew on the other side of this. And how would that look with that? That looks good. So that's one possibility. I'm going to put my scissors there just to hold that possibility. And I'm kind of tending to fill up the early pages more, because the later pages we're not really sure what we're going to have on yet. That's where we're going to run into more like needing to add other character arcs like Eliezer and Hagar. So I don't really want to fill up all those pages. That looks pretty cool right there. Oh, which one do I like better? I think that's still my first choice right there. So I'm going to leave my scissors there. And I'm just taking you through the selection process so that you can kind of see what I do. And remember, I like this torn here. In fact, I bent it back. But you can always, if you have any tears, you can repair them if you want. Patch them with a piece of fabric or washi tape or something. Okay, I really think that I like this right here. So I'm going to pull that page out. I'm going to turn this sideways so I don't lose my place and set that aside. And then I've got to be careful. Well, I don't really have to be careful of anything. I can sew across the top and the bottom. With a belly band that's vertical, you're going to be sewing just at the top and the bottom. And this is actually a little wider than what I normally make for a belly band. I usually make it narrower. I'm kind of surprised that this came out this wide, but that's okay. It's still good. Okay, so I'm going to set it across the top, and pretty much centered. I mean, this thing is all kind of crickety, so it doesn't really matter. And I'm going to just sew right across the top. I start right before the belly band, and I go like 1 or 2 stitches past it. Okay, and I'm zigzagging. Look on the other side. Okay, see, so this is white sticking up there because that's what my back was. So I am going to distress that. I could trim it with scissors, and if it doesn't distress well, then that's what I'll do. But I kind of like it sticking up like that. I think that's kind of cool. It helps make the whole book look kind of ragged. So before I sew this down, because now I know that that's going to stick out, I'm going to go ahead and distress it now, because it's a lot easier to distress it before you sew it, and see how I'm getting more of it distressed. Now the rest of the back you're not going to see, so it doesn't matter. And let me look and see if there's anything on the sides that needs distressing before I sew this down. Okay, everything looks good. Okay, so I'm going to sew this down here. I've got this pocket here. It's sewn along the edge, and I like how that looks sticking off there, sticking past the edge. Like I said, you can trim it so that it's exactly flush with the edge if you want, but I like that. I like to have stuff sticking out both the top and the bottom and the sides and looking all jagged and ragged and everything. Make sure I've got this all going the right direction. There we go, and it's back in here. And so that's what that spread's going to look like. And of course we have not sewn the pages in yet. That's coming later. But here's what our spread looks like. And, and if I wasn't talking and everything so much, this wouldn't have taken so long. You can do that fairly quickly. And if you do it like in a larger piece of paper and then you cut it, then you can do it a lot faster. You don't end up with your ragged edges if you cut it. But what you can do is you can add a few pieces that you've distressed to the edges, either like underneath if you don't want it to be all the way along the top or something, just to give it some more interest, to make it all raggedy. But I've done some that aren't all ragged, and I think they look really good. So there you go. Okay, so that's, yeah, I don't, oh, I think I see my other journal. But hold on just a second and I'll get it so I can show you what it looks like if it's not all ragged. Okay, so this is another journal that I'm making. Completely different style and everything. Oh, you guys, I'm sorry, the lighting is really bad. Okay, so this is it, like this. And I haven't trimmed this yet from binding it. I haven't done anything with it since I bound it. But I think that there's a belly band in here that I made with, here's your Dear Julie Julie Flip Flop. Oh, see, and I like to use doilies. I'm not going to use a doily in the Abraham one, but okay, so here's a belly band right here. Okay, so see, this has straight edges. I still have the shabby chic look with all the thread and everything, but I put lace on both the sides, and see how much narrower it is. And then you can put something in there. This doesn't go with it at all, but you can put something in here like so. Okay, or what I like to do is make little pads of paper that I stick in there, and we'll be making some pads of paper. But so that just gives you kind of an idea. There are some other things that you can do. There's another belly band. Okay, so these are just some other, oh, or like in the center, I really always like to have something special in the center fold. Where is the center of this one? Hello, come here. There we go. So I've got this, it's paper, but it looks like sari silk, and then I put rhinestones down on the bottom, and then I'm going to have beads on this. That's why I haven't cut it yet, because I want to have beads hanging down from it. Okay, so that's that, and we're getting really chunky, and we're filling up a lot of the pages. We don't want to fill all the pages, so we're getting close to time to bind it pretty soon. We'll probably have maybe like three or four more things that we'll do, and then we'll be ready to bind it. Okay? All right, y'all, I love you. And I'm going to keep working on the positioning of this camera and lighting and everything. So hopefully it'll just get better and better. But I hope that that encourages you to step out and do things even if you can't do them perfectly. You can just keep getting better and better, just keep improving. I try to learn something new about doing YouTube videos every week. So that way, hopefully it just will get better and better. You may not see that advancement as much because I'll record maybe like 6 videos in one day. And so what you're seeing over like 2 or 3 weeks might have all been filmed in one day, but hopefully you are seeing some improvement. Like now the camera's not swinging, right? All right, I love y'all. I will see you later. Bye-bye.